Hi, everybody. We're on the precipice of yet another holiday, and I'll say happy whatever the fuck it is coming up. This is the Friday edition of Moohead Radio. I'm your host, a big and furry bovine. If you want to be part of the program, go over and look at the description of the show. You can come on the panel. I don't mean you can come on the panel. This is not a goddamn bukkake movie, so get it straight.
Or Blobfish TV.
You can appear on the program if you wish. If you're just trolling, you won't. Whatever the deal is. But we've got some sports to talk about, and as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing wrong with talking a little sports every now and then. You know, I want to work the Browns into this somehow, even though there isn't a whole lot to say, but it is an interesting thing of a perpetual complaint that I've had over the course of many, many years with the Cleveland Browns. The main problem being that the reason the team sucks as much as it has in the past is that when you have lousy players in camp, you know, you're competing against lousy players, and then the season starts, and you're competing against good players, and the next thing you know, you're getting slaughtered.
Or at least mediocre players with continuity.
Right. I mean, you know, here is a reason to feel optimistic and upbeat if you're a Cleveland Browns fan, and it's not about, oh, should we go after, Julio Jones? Should we do that? And not that stupidity, all right? Let's take a look at what we actually have. A few weeks before the NFL draft, our defensive tackle depth was absolutely thin. There were only 4 players that the Browns even had listed as defensive tackles. Ogunjobi gone, Sheldon Richardson gone, by the Browns' choice, mind you, and Ogunjobi signed elsewhere. Sheldon Richardson is still, wandering the beach. So we had Malik Jackson, an old dude, getting on the same side of the field as Jordan Elliott, the rarely used. Sheldon Day, who is the other Sheldon, who I don't even know that big Sheldon, and Andrew Billings, who chose not to play last year and is pointing to Myles Garrett and saying, see, I told you why I didn't play last year. And that's all we had. All right. But now it's a whole lot different. We got a lot more guys. We drafted Tommy Togiai out of Ohio State, and that's kind of cool.
Yay.
Yeah, that's right. Yay.
We finally get a Buckeye. We don't have to watch him to go to fucking Schittsburg and fucking root against them for 15 fucking years as they destroy the Browns.
And that's not to say that Togiai is going to play any major part for the team, but it's to point. I'm making a bigger point. Marvin Wilson, who went 4 years at Florida State, and he went undrafted, and the Browns signed a free agent deal with him. Hardened criminal Malik McDowell, a 2017 second-round pick by the Hawks.
Let's hear it for that California Penal League.
Yeah, exactly. And Damian Square, baby, I don't care. A 9-year veteran inked another deal with the Browns shortly after that. So we have a lot of bodies here, And meanwhile, Togiai, Wilson, and McDowell were all participants for the 3-day stretch of practices. Togiai and Wilson, from what I've heard, look good, and McDowell didn't murder anybody. So overall, a win for the organization. I think that the most interesting one is Wilson, the 303-pound rookie out of Tallahassee, Florida State. It seems that the Browns guy, Kiffin, their defensive line coach, really had a history with Wilson, and he helped recruit him to Florida State back when he was. I should say he was trying to recruit him for Ole Miss. when back in his Texas days. Uh, this is the way Kiffin describes Marvin Wilson. He's the alpha dog. You can see that recruiting him in high school. You can see that on tape at Florida State. The way he commanded the guys on defense, just talking to him, is kind of a blessing. He went undrafted because he has the biggest chip on his shoulder. And that's going to piss off Baker Mayfield. It's like, nobody beats the chip on my shoulders. So, meanwhile, Elliott was a third-round pick and didn't play very much at all. He never played.
I would love
more than...
to continue on that. I would love to see kind of a Bateman scene with he and Stefanski. I told you to get the goddamn ball, and you got the goddamn ball. I got the goddamn ball.
I think that there's people who have played. The 9-year veteran Square was active for all 16 games in the last 4 seasons with the Chargers. He's just kind of a guy, who spells people. But he's at 6'6" and 295 pounds. He's a big guy. And between he and Malik Jackson, they have 16 years of NFL experience, while Billings has 80 tackles in 3 total seasons. So, I mean, you can see that this is kind of a feast and famine thing. We got some older guys, and some of the older fellas are more spot rotational guys. And then we got the other guys who are going to play more of the downs. But the bottom line is this. You go into a season and you keep these veterans on your roster for a reason. Somebody goes down, which somebody will definitely. You really can't afford to just throw somebody like Wilson into the game if he's just not accustomed to playing at the speed of the NFL. And you utilize, I remember when it was the last time the Browns were really taken seriously, it seems, Carl Hairston was a guy that was a much-traveled Philadelphia Eagles player, and he came to the Browns at the end of his career and unfortunately got his hand up a little bit too late on John Elway's pass. That was The Drive, folks, if you don't remember. If you haven't seen it, 4,712 times on the NFL Network. But having veteran presence is very important for the development of young players. And I feel a whole lot better when our offensive line is going to be showing its moves to, younger players so that they can learn. But at the same time, that we have backup offensive linemen who are going to be playing a lot of reps so that our first line guys don't get hurt. This is what makes a team better. And the Browns have never had this luxury in the past, where we actually have positions where real players who have actually played the game, and we're stacking some veterans and guys who got a shot at the offensive line last year, returning to their roles as far as being kind of part-time guys, but able to walk into any game in any given situation and give you the right kind of play that you need. So I'm really pleased. I'm really pleased. And it looks like Stevie Cheevy, if you're interested in getting on the show, type something into the chat, would you, that you want to talk about. I want to make sure that Stevie Cheevy is for really V. All right. So. But he took his video off, so Stevie Cheevy might not be real. If you're real Stevie Cheevy, give me the finger right now. Okay. He's not real. He's Max Headroom. Okay. We'll take, let's say, bye! Whatever. So, guys, what do you think? I mean, are practices going to be more spirited now? because we actually have some talent on the field?
Not only will they be more spirited, you're actually going to see Browns cuts starting on other squads for the first time in I don't know how long.
Yeah,
So
and that is a good point. Is that when you got to make cuts, you may be cutting some decent players for a change instead of playing them. That's you know,
and I believe that the extended practice squad is going to be reduced back down to its normal level. So that's also going to be a big key in a lot of guys ending up on other rosters.
Hey, Tony the Calf, Stevie Cheevy says he knows you.
Hey, he says, I know who Steven Rose is, but I mean, unless he was on the chat at one point.
And nobody
Letterman,
calls you
no,
Anthony anyway. If anyone calls you Anthony, man, that's just
Nuzdar.
yeah.
Does that ring a bell, Anthony?
Fuck you, Brian. Fuck you, Bryn.
Well, no, he says,
Bryn.
tell him this is Nuzdar. I don't know what that means.
Sounds like one of a bad name for a planet on an old
It
Star
sounds like-
Trek original episode.
Isn't that one of the characters on When Mars Attacks? Nuzdar?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
Or one of the Coneheads.
But I am excited about the fact that
quantity.
so many losers, I shouldn't call them losers, but people who never really play in the NFL got to play meaningful downs with the Browns in the years that we were losing, that nobody was ever looking at the waiver wire in regards to the Cleveland Browns. No, because there were guys who were starting for the Browns and nobody would look at them on a waiver wire. So Browns would waive guys and you'd never hear of them again. It's kind of like that.
Tell him I'm the one who sent Steven's mom pizza.
Yeah. Look, the way I look at
Tony was probably way too fucking beyond shit-faced to
This
even
guy's-
remember that.
Yeah.
It's already taken up too much time of the show. I'm not paying attention
All right.
at this point. I got to concentrate on really trying to keep this erection
Talk about
firm.
George,
It's
George
really
and your
difficult.
son's skirts.
It's very difficult to keep a heart on these days, and I really want to be able to focus on that. But with all of these people that we can kind of, some of these guys are just not going to make the team. I mean, I think it's safe to say that the criminal is not going to make the team. I mean, I understand talent. You want to give a guy a chance, but I see no real reason to believe that Malik McDowell has changed his ways. I'm very negative about that. But I can see, of course, Marvin Wilson, because, they had to pay him a little money. He wasn't just a UDFA who, getting a tryout. This was a guy who was expected to be drafted. And I think with that in mind, the Browns paid him a little under the table money that he could come to town and flash his worth. So, he could be a guy who kind of surprised like Ogunjobi, who really for a while played very well in Cleveland and then kind of trailed off. And I don't understand whether the league just watched film on him and he had a limited number of techniques or what it was. But all signs are that Marvin Wilson is a very aggressive football player and in given situations can bring energy to the field. And beyond that, who knows? But I think it's exciting that, and we can point to so many positions right now on the Browns roster where we have multiple really good players. Hey, Keyblade, how you doing? It is exciting to think that we are actually going into the season where, we're going to be looking at replacing some special teams people. I saw Kaderil Hodge signed his $2.13 million deal. And the thing that's been talked about is that Kaderil Hodge brings depth to the receiving corps, but also special teams presence, which is important. People don't want to talk about it because it's not the thing that gets you big bucks. But when you have lousy special teams like we had in years past, it's so obvious that you say to yourself, why are these people even, if they can't do this much and they can't even commit suicide on the Suicide Squad, what good are they?
Well, and the irony is that the special teams was probably the worst part of the of the Browns squad last year. It wasn't the defense; it was actually the special teams.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the special teams, I wasn't watching teams starting at midfield constantly, and there were fewer penalties called. Of course, there were fewer penalties called in a lot of football last year, but not as frequent as we saw in the past. And field position today is hard enough to get stops. But I mean, if you're starting out, teams are starting out on the 40, 45 yard line. It doesn't take very much to get into the end zone. Oh, look at Daktar. He is so proud of himself. My goodness. Well, I'm so glad for you. I'm a moose too. None of that. So yeah, and same thing with the secondary. And I was reading about Grant Delpit. And there was something, I mean, let me ask you a question. This is Stump the Panel, all right? When somebody has a completely torn Achilles tendon, like Grant Delpit did,
Yeah.
through the years of that injury, what are the odds of coming back to play at the professional level?
I only know that the only one that I know of is the Kansas City Chief guy that was the defensive back.
Well,
he's the only one. Everyone else, they just couldn't. The surgeries techniques back then weren't good enough for them to come back from it.
Well, today it's a new day. It's a new dawn. 72% can come back, but that still leaves 28% of Now, Delpit.
Adrian Peterson comes to mind as the other one.
Yeah, Delpit is running backwards and doing all the things that would be really difficult to do after that injury at full speed. And they say that he is going to be ready when called upon this year. And he's very much feeling that he is, despite his absence last year, that he is a second-year player because of everything he's gone through. I find that hard to believe. But they're talking about him being at 100% level at training camp. But it is, according to Delpit, a very protracted, drawn-out recovery from this injury. So, I think that people forget about Delpit, being the Jim Thorpe Award winner as the nation's leading Native American. No. The top defensive back in his final year at LSU. He had 199 tackles at LSU, 17 and a half for loss, 7 sacks and 8 interceptions. Guy was a big-time college safety. And, boy, if he comes through, that could just be massive for this team. And, and now it makes more sense when you have guys like Ronnie Harrison. There are people that when Delpit is on the field is going to be able to learn from some experienced people and be able to not have everything thrown at him. But he's going to be on the field at specific times, again, as initially a young role player before he settles in. And if he gets the job done, becomes the starter. But he can actually learn from people who have played the game, know how to play the game. And I think that's huge. It's going to make all practices more spirited. It's going to mean more when Baker Mayfield is looking downfield in practice, that he might actually be seeing something happening that might actually happen in a real game. makes me feel better about a lot of things. So again, if you're looking about what the difference might be between the Browns, from this past season and this coming season, it's that there are more guys who got to play on the offensive line last year and wide receivers. Let's be honest about it. I mean, Kaderil Hodge re-signs for $2.13 million, and we know what he is. And I'm not telling you that he's a great wide receiver, and he's the bottom guy on the list. He's below Rashard Higgins, he's below DCP, and of course he's below OBJ and Jarvis Landry. But he can contribute, and he blocks. He's willing. He's physical.
Yeah.
And, and that's because, he plays special teams. He's not afraid to hurl his body at somebody. And that's something you need. So, optimistic. I'm just real optimistic about the thing. So, what can
Every
I say?
team needs a Steve Tasker.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's just it. I mean, every position on the field has a Rudy Rudiger. Oh, God, I hate saying that. But every team has an inspirational player every side of the ball. Whether it's a guy who breaks 6 tackles and, hulks up after he does it, or it's a defensive guy who lays a hit on somebody and flattens them. It's somebody sets the tone. And the Browns haven't had nearly enough tone setters over the course of their recent history.
Yeah. Sorry, I was yawning.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry that you feel that way.
No, it's not because of
I
that.
know, I'm kidding.
I was supposed to go to Las Vegas today, and I completely botched everything. Well, missed my flight and everything.
You missed your flight to Vegas?
I fell asleep.
You're supposed to be wide awake when you go to Vegas. How did you miss it? Same way you missed the blowjob?
Yeah, just fell asleep a little too late last night and slept right through my alarm this morning.
Oh my God! What hotel were you set at?
This is what comes of having a blobfish addiction.
Planet Hollywood. I mean,
You were going to be at the Planet Hollywood.
yeah, I stay there every time I go.
Do they have a big buffet in there?
I was literally just going for one night because the Wild.
He stays for the strudel.
The Minnesota Wild NHL team is playing the Vegas Golden Knights in a Game 7 of the playoffs, and I was going to go to the game tonight, but whatever.
It's
not like I paid for airfare anyways, so.
It's funny you talk about Vegas because, I know nothing about Las Vegas, having never been there before. But I did read something that was really fascinating. What is the hottest wager right now on the betting lines? Who and what is it? You're not going to believe this.
It Browns to win the Super Bowl?
No. I mean, of all the things, and this will tell you that if the football season was a mile wide and a mile deep, that we've only penetrated the first 3 inches of the crust of the earth, okay? You're not going to believe this.
Oh, boy.
The Wild to win Game 7?
Nope. The over-under number is 2.5, all right? But who and what?
The Brooklyn Nets to beat the Celtics tonight?
No, and you're talking about things that make sense.
Yeah.
All right. How about the over-under is 2.5 touchdowns for the season?
Odell Beckham?
No. That would be too easy and insulting now, wouldn't it? That's the over-under for the number of touchdown passes Tim Tebow is going to catch. Now you know why Tim Tebow's even in the league, because it promotes gambling activity. How fucked up is that? That's just totally fucked up.
Well, as our resident gambler, what's your response to that?
They'll let you bet on pretty much anything. thing at this point. I think last year I could have bet on if Baker Mayfield would have taken a dump at halftime or not of a game. But
Big Lurker UK, I think, is rolling his eyes. He heard the magic word Tebow. There's supposed to be like a bird comes down from the ceiling, and when I say the magic
the
word.
funny part is everybody says, "Oh, it's going to be an easy." He's not going to get two and a half touchdowns a year, and then just like gambling, you're going to think it's going to be one, and all of a sudden he's going to have 7 or 8 touchdowns on the year, and you're going to be like, "What in the fuck?" All of a sudden, like an end zone tight end threat.
It looks like he's been sleeping in the fucking flaxseed oil, though.
I have more philosophical questions, okay?
Yeah.
Of course, that he's transitioning from a quarterback position to being a tight end, which he's never played before. So whose transition would be more difficult? His or Bruce Jenner's? And what's the over under and what's the over under
with Chris, so he was already being turned into a woman a long time ago.
What's the over under for what's under the skirt of Jenner? Okay, I mean these are the things that the over unders that make more difference to people that I.
Well, he still wants to date women, so
yeah,
there you go.
But now you know what attracted him. What attracted him to the pole vault? Now you know.
And
oh my God. I saw, and Tony, I thought of you whenever I see anything about professional wrestling, and I was watching a biography of Rowdy Piper.
This is another transsexual joke. I was be like, what?
No. Rowdy Piper. And I know this is kind of...
the documentary.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, did you ever see the full interview, his final interview that he did with Rich Eisen?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Oof.
So I started thinking about people because, what they said was that Rowdy Piper, just his whole body gave out that he had congestive heart failure. And you could tell he was having trouble breathing during the interview. He was confused mentally. And I then got on this thing about people who had congestive heart failure. Do you know that there is a video, and I know this will make this thing go viral, of Tiny Tim having a heart attack in concert? He literally face plants. Now, there are some people who don't even listen and go, who's Tiny Tim? And it's not the Dickens thing. No, this is not the Charles Dickens Christmas Carol. This is, tiptoe through the tulips with me.
Yeah, from laughing.
Right. He died of a heart attack, but he had one heart attack first, and it was recorded on some kind of a camcorder at the time and found its way onto YouTube, as everything eventually does. And he wasn't singing. He was talking to the crowd, and he just pitched forward right on his face.
Yep.
I'm complete faceplant. And within 3 months, he was dead. So, I started thinking, wow, these people with, and then I watched Rodney Dangerfield's last appearance on The Tonight Show. If you have, just look it up on YouTube, man. Because, Rodney appeared on The Tonight Show probably more often than any comedian, was one of Johnny Carson's favorites. And he would always do the same thing. He'd do about 6-7 minutes of material, and then he'd come over to the desk, and sit down with Johnny and do about 4 more minutes of material where Johnny would play the straight man.
Yeah.
On this particular day, after 2 minutes of stand-up, he just cut himself off. And Johnny Carson looks at him and goes, boy, that was an abrupt ending. And you're watching him at the desk, and he's having trouble breathing, and he's constantly patting his face down because he's sweating profusely. So wow. I was having all kinds of, how many people can I see croak or close to it on YouTube? It was a morbid day yesterday. But after seeing the Roddy Piper thing, it was like, wow.
You had to offset the joy of seeing Cosmo to whoop for the first time in 2 years.
That was great. I mean, that video, if you didn't, and yes, Rick May, you are absolutely correct. Tiny Tim got married on the Tonight Show. And what was the name of the woman he married, Rick? No help from anyone else. Rick is good at this shit. And I remembered her name. Let's see if, and Rick's only a little older than I am.
God, I miss Rick on the show. He needs to get his internet in line.
Yeah, I know. Rick doesn't want to come on the show anymore. So tell me, Rick, what was her name? And so far, no response. So, but I will tell you, and you can check it. It was a big event in 1970 on the Tonight Show. Guy, I mean, I don't know. And you know who eulogized Tiny Tim? Yeah, good, very good. It was Miss Vicky, Rick. That was her name. So, yeah. But the person who eulogized him was Weird Al Yankovic. And when you go back, I start watching Tiny Tim YouTube videos. He was a comedian. He wasn't no fucking singer. He had his ukulele, but it was a put on. I mean, the whole thing was a complete put on. And the more you saw it over time, the more you realized. I mean, he appeared on television on a special with Bing Crosby. Nothing could have been more bizarre than that. And it was so tongue-in-cheek. You were just shaking your head like, I don't understand Tiny Tim like I never understood Andy Kaufman, It's like, but it does kind of make you laugh in a strange kind of way.
Right.
Well, it's just interesting. So, do you think the Browns should get Julio Jones? Tony, come on.
I don't know. I saw something today. Hey, Mary Kay.
Oh God. Mary Kay cabbage for brains. I think my acid reflux is coming back.
If the price is right, I would say why not, but don't go too overboard thinking.
They claim that they've already got a first round offered for him. Why haven't they just fucking taken it? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
He's already said he's never going to play another down for you on fucking TV, so
right.
I don't know how much clearer he can make it to old Art.
This may be one of the few clever things that Amsterdam's ever said. I just thought I would spotlight him when he says something that's actually connected to what we're talking about on the program. That between him and Dactar, spectacular stuff, Ams. Oh God!
When he's not talking about repairing his tuk-tuk.
Yeah, I mean the Julio Jones thing. Honest to God, if they have a first round pick already offered to them, unless it's like a first round pick 3 years from now or something goofy like that, yes, it doesn't make sense that they're holding out for more. They're not going to get anything better than that. A low first would be considered a win under these circumstances, and the Browns not going to go after that. There's no real reason. I was trying to figure something out, and I want an opinion from Brian and from Tony.
That's $1,000, and this is drive time.
Who is a better quarterback in your mind? New England Patriots rookie Mac Jones or Mac Davis in North Dallas 40? Go.
Mac Davis.
Yeah, Mac Davis.
It's funny because everybody, is talking because he's in non-contact. Anyone could do drills. He has a swag to him that I didn't know he had at first. Receiver Kendrick Bourne said he's confident out there. That's what you need at quarterback. We'll see how confident Mac is when they come barnstorming in on him. I mean, and
they went through 3 quarterbacks in one game against the Browns.
Yeah, that Cam Newton is going to say to him, "What you gonna do, brother? What you gonna do when the line comes in on you?" And he can't run away. That guy is, he's slow. I'm trying to think, who is the Browns quarterback who is the most slow-footed guy Cody Kessler.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's got to be Kessler.
My goodness. I mean, God made him slow and with an under-strength arm. Why was he in the NFL? Why?
Oh, but he won so many games at USC with all this NFL quality talent. Yeah, great. What does he do? Nothing.
Yeah, do you know what Mac Jones has written all over him? Knowing where he's playing the next Bobby Hoyer, right?
Yeah.
No, I mean, and there's no rap on Hoyer. He stayed around the league for a long time.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought for a second you said Bobby Hoying.
I think you meant to say Brian Hoyer.
Whatever the fuck his name is. He's been around since,
Christ was born. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Hoyer, another guy who has very little escapability, but maybe they believe that Mac Jones can learn the system that Hoyer learned.
Yeah.
He's a young Hoyer, and I hear all about the swag and all about this. I remember how they were saying that about Sam Darnold. Oh man, he's got this thing whipped, man. He's got the intangibles, and it's like. Big fucking forehead. Where was the brain that went inside that dome? Unbelievable. So at any rate, this is why I'm happy about the Browns. The only thing I'm not real happy about is I'm not happy about the backup quarterback situation, because we know that the odds are you're going to need it at some point in the season. I'm not real good with Case Keenum.
Yeah.
He looked really under strength as far as his arm was concerned. I mean, if they're hoping that OBJ could make some fabulous comeback, or that Anthony Schwartz is going to get down the field, there ain't no fucking way that Case Keenum's going to get him the ball.
Right.
No way. I mean, it's one thing to have a backup quarterback who's not so great, but he can make a big play. Guy who has a big arm and can hurt you.
Right. You kind of want to know that, hey, the season's not totally fucked if we lose our starting quarterback. Might be able to manage out a halfway decent season.
Yeah, I understand the theory, but you know what the problem is with that? The game is so quick. They narrow you down to such a narrow box in the NFL. Once they find out you lack the arm strength, the beauty of a football field is not just the length, but the width of the field. If you take the width of the field away because the guy only has a strong enough arm to throw it over the middle to get it there in the requisite time that he has to hit an open window, because every time they go outside, it's a pick six risk. I've seen this with so many quarterbacks who come to the NFL looking to be backup quarterbacks that it takes too long on the out pattern. And the out pattern, if you have a quarterback who's there to manage a game, you've got to be able to throw that. You can't just narrow down to the middle of the field. If you remember, that's exactly what was happening to a stronger armed quarterback, and that would be Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield came up always looking to throw in the middle of the field, and they had to really teach him how to use the out pattern successfully, because once they see tendencies, they can close. Once the field is shrunk down, man, they can get to the ball so fucking quick. I want to see somebody as a backup quarterback for the Cleveland Browns who really has a chance to be a legitimate backup quarterback. And it's no rap against Case Keenum. I just not real comfortable with that.
It wouldn't have been a bad idea to pick up a rookie QB in the 6th or 5th round. One of those that, the odds of them starting ever in the league are slim, but they might develop into something decent.
Yeah, I mean, and best impact is all over you. It's all over you, Brian. I mean, I know that the Suns are a good young team, but
Yeah,
man,
well, and I was damn shocked to see that they won 51 games this year. But as I'm continuing to write, they're finding out that the playoffs are a whole different animal.
what's amazing about LeBron James?
They're
I mean,
getting the raw end of a stick though, because that Lakers team should be a 7th seed.
well,
They had the benefit of LeBron missing 20 games and Davis missing 20 games, so they fell enough to the point where, oh hey, we'll get the easier.
Well, AD's hurt again. He kind of hyperextended that leg, blocking that shot.
Yeah.
And, he gutted the game out. But, the thing is that LeBron, he only scored 21 points. But he'll sit there and he sees the floor so well that he just creates opportunities for others. And
yeah, it's his 9 to 11 assists.
Yeah.
That are the backbreaker.
And especially when, he can give a team a 10-point run, which is basically what happened, without even shooting the ball. Just by playing floor general and finding the open pieces. I mean, he can make anybody look twice as good as what they are. Ask Matthew Dellavedova.
Yeah.
Who can't hit the broadside of a barn. He had so much time that he could hit a broadside of a barn. He played for the Cavaliers to the tune of $40 million contract. Gotta love it. But honestly, I'm not writing the Suns off. I don't think that it is an upset that the Lakers would beat the Suns. I think Booker's amazing. Boy, he could just score. I mean, they have some players in that team that really are instant offense, and it's fun to watch. But they don't have experience in this at this level, and they're getting it.
Yeah.
They're getting it this year. But I still think entertaining games. The Knicks came back and won game 2. Game 3's tonight. That's going to be kind of a.
There's always the elephant in the room, though. The racism shit with the fans is starting to pop off between the John Morant shit in Utah, and now the Celtics stuff is starting to spew up. Tristan Thompson warned fans, "You motherfuckers spit on me, I'll chase you down to your house."
Well, look, this is what I talk about all the time, about the climate of the country being exceedingly unhealthy.
Yeah.
You bring fans back. You think they would be thrilled because they haven't had the opportunity to watch live sporting events because of the pandemic. And this is how they behave. Right. And we can't escape the conversation. And I've in the past talked about fans wanting to interject themselves into the game in this bizarre lack of perception in which fans think that they paid a ticket price that entitles them to get on the field of battle. I mean, it's peculiar to say the least. If any of these players got knocked cold and had a broken orbital bone in their eye for spitting on somebody, I'd be cheering. These people have no business doing stuff like that. But it's a sad state of affairs. And as much as I'd like to tell you, I got to blame this group or that group, I blame people. It isn't just ideologies, because it takes people to enact whatever philosophies there are out there.
Yeah.
And people know better. I mean, you can be bigoted and not behave that way. And I don't like bigoted behavior to begin with. But man, it's hard to stomach this. And to see what's being said and the actions that are being taken, and that the athletes are being left in a position where they're having garbage thrown on them, they're being cursed at, spit at. It's an unfortunate thing. And welcome back, live crowds to the NBA.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wish it just, and what Ja Morant would possibly do to deserve what Utah fans did to him. Ja Morant is a shining light in the NBA, a truly gifted young athlete.
Yes.
And and it's just like Trae Young. I mean, look, Trae Young silenced a New York crowd. All right, he went the length of the floor and scored in 6.9 seconds. All right, no, make that 8.9 seconds. Up, down the floor, put it in. 0.9 left of the game. It wasn't Trae Young's doing that. Tibbs didn't have a play call coming up, a timeout with the 0.9 left. That certainly doesn't help. But yeah, that's all Trae Young did to the Garden, and for that reason, he deserves to have things thrown at him. Yeah, it really is pathetic. Yeah, and all the way back, dog bones and batteries. Yeah, batteries were a favorite in Cleveland too. After
or rotten eggs.
Yeah,
they used to throw those on the field.
The batteries came out after that Jacksonville game.
No. The batteries go back to the old stadium.
Oh,
So
they
did the
were
rotten
doing
eggs.
it then too. They did it then too. But
That's why you had Weiss standing up and saying, "You're not in Cleveland. Don't throw anything on the field."
yeah,
But that was after one of his guys got hit with a block of ice that was about the size of a bowling ball.
Yeah, I mean the fans, and how do they sneak in goddamn fucking batteries into a stadium? I mean, it's and I remember years ago when that idiot was shining a laser light into the face of a guy shooting free throws in the NBA. It's like, how in the fuck does that can't be permitted, But I don't know. There's a lot of anger in the country. And, I talked to a bunch of people and trying to get an answer as to why people are refusing to be vaccinated. It's really interesting. I ask a question. Hey, have you gotten your vaccine? That's all I say. I don't make a judgment, just a question. And man, you should see these people start. I mean, they start doing the Scatman Crothers dance. Honest to fucking God. I mean, it's like all these excuses and not one of them having, just say no, and I don't intend on getting it. That's the answer.
That's usually my stamp hand answer.
Yeah, I mean, and hey, little TYG, how you doing? And, that's the choice. You get your shots or you don't get your shots. And if somebody asks you, you should be proud of your decision. No, I'm not getting that. I've just chosen not to do it. Now, if people start pressing you, well, why not? Now they're kind of hitting you harder. But when they start right in with the, well, I don't want an ID chip underneath my skin, and all the, it's like, I just shut it down. It's like, no. I just asking. It was like a conversation point. It doesn't make me superior to somebody because I'm vaccinated. I think I'm smarter than somebody who's not at all vaccinated. But at the same time, I do also think that there's enough conflicting stuff. I don't know if you just read this today, that they're saying that there are people who have autoimmune diseases who have gotten both shots and it won't help them one iota with COVID. Now, wouldn't it have been nice to know that before? And that's...
well, and the other problem is you have, what is it, six different types of vaccine?
Yeah, there are three main ones, but I don't think anybody really is talking seriously about Johnson and Johnson right now. You know, I think more people are interested in my Johnson. Yeah, but yeah, and you're saying your arm is
Man, ain't
sore.
nobody interested in Yo Johnson.
Yeah, little TYG. Yeah, your arm's gonna hurt more. I don't know. So you had it today. Within 6 to 8 hours, you're gonna feel around your, depending which arm you got it in. You're gonna get some soreness and some swelling, but then tomorrow is the day that you might feel very fatigued and weak. And then you'll wake up the next day and it's like nothing ever happened. This arm, for me, they shot me up in my right arm the second time. And man, I went to bed and it was like, oh, okay, it's fine. Yeah, everything's all right. And then all of a sudden, man, the next day, the arm kind of swelled up around where the injection point was. And man, that night, I had trouble. It was like sleeping on that side because of that shoulder. I woke up in the morning, it was completely gone. Completely gone. But, I understand that people, when they hear 6 different things, start losing confidence. The other thing that I think is the most ignorant thing in the world, I mean, if in California they have to give out $116 million of bonus cash for people to get the goddamn vaccination, and that's in a blue state. I mean, I understand you want to get as many people vaccinated as possible for herd immunity. I get that. But do you really think that offering people free money is going to get them to change their minds if they're just dead set against something? I think that's like crawling. That's like crawling and groveling in front of a group of people who just refuse to do it. I would not give them the time of day. If they don't want to do it, don't do it. Go out in public and good luck to you. Whatever happens, that is your choice. It amazes me. The world we live in right now just fucking amazes me. Before I get out of here, I want to talk a little bit about the Cleveland Indians because
Still above 500, amazingly enough.
you want to talk about, there are 2 interesting stories, One is Harold Ramirez. I read this story and it was really peculiar. This guy, in his rookie year, hit 11 home runs and had 50-odd runs batted in. He hit like a 275 for the Miami Marlins. And we know the Marlins are a bottom drawer organization, but he was actually quite popular as a player because he had a number of at-bats that won games, 2 home runs in 12th innings of 2 different games, the walk-off wins. And, to put it in perspective, the 11 dingers, 50 ribbies, and a 728 OPS. I mean, for a rookie, they really believed, hey, this guy, it could add up to something. But listen what happened to him. They started calling him Hitting Harold. He was a Double-A Eastern League batting title champion in 2018, but he ended up waived by the Marlins before 2021 training camp. In fact, the Marlins were going to make him a centerpiece in their lineup, batting cleanup, surrounding their veteran hitters such as Starling Marte, the former, I said Steeler, Pirate, Corey Dickerson, Jonathan Villar, and Jesus Aguirre, former Indian. 2 games into the 2020 season, he tested positive for COVID-19 in the middle of a team outbreak that nailed 20 players, if you remember that far back, for the Marlins. 20 players were positive. Their whole season for a brief while looked like it might be canceled because of the extreme number of players who had contracted the virus. It took weeks for Harold Ramirez to make his way back to the Marlins roster, And when he finally returned at his first game, he suffered a season-ending hamstring strain, and that was it. The organization forgot everything he had done and said, well, we're going with younger guys named Lewis Brinson and Monty Harrison. And the reason is because when they traded Christian Yelich, and that's all, believe me, it's just like the Indians, all the Marlins do are trade good players. And what the haul that you get in return, those players are going to get a chance to play. So Lewis Brinson and Monty Harrison were who they got, part of what they got in the Yelich trade. And they designated Ramirez for assignment. And that all happened because National League teams were not going to have a designated hitter for the 2021 season. So it's like, next, gone. The Indians claim him on waivers. Is he the answer to all things? No. But at the same time, he's played consistent, steady ball. He's made solid contact with the ball, line drive hitter. He's he's really funny. 5'10", 230 pounds. This guy is like a bowling ball. He's not your typical outfielder, although he's playing different positions for the team. But it's kind of like a Yandy Diaz thing. I mean, here's a guy who was a top hitter, 300 hitter in the minor leagues, and there's no chance for him even with the Marlins. And with the Indians, he's doing a pretty damn nice job considering the circumstances that he didn't get to play at all last year. And, it's a good story because it's a player, he's got a great attitude. He's grateful and thankful that he's getting a chance to play big league baseball. And, maybe in another 3 months, you'll never hear of him again. But the fact of the matter is that he's getting his opportunity and he's making the most of it. And God only knows the Indians need help because everybody's injured. Ahmed Rosario got hit. And now, the outfielders are dropping like flies. And Luplow has had ankle problems since before the season began. And now he's out. So we don't even have a center fielder. We had to bring up Bradley Zimmer, and God only knows that isn't going anywhere because it hasn't for all the years that they put their money on him, and he failed. It's nice to see a guy getting a chance, taking advantage of it. And tonight, Eli Morgan, in just a matter of minutes, is going to be the 100th Lake Erie Captains, single A, player to reach the major leagues. Isn't that wonderful? Eli Morgan is the pitcher, and it's because all of our pitchers are hurt, and we're trying to get inning eaters. And Eli Morgan is probably going to get bombed tonight. I don't mean drunk. I mean like crushed. His best pitch is his changeup. Maybe they're hoping that he will fool people. But take a look at who came up from single A ball to play for the Indians. It's really interesting. And I'll just run through these names and finish up the program. Trevor Crowe, remember him? Josh Tomlin, the little cowboy. Cody Allen, who was a wonderful relief pitcher, for the Indians for many years. Danny Salazar, boy, what a sorry ending that came to. Jose Ramirez, well, we know how good he is. Roberto Perez, who's a great defensive catcher but can't hit. Of course, Frankie Lindor, who, just can't hit in New York. Tyler Naquin, who started hitting in Cincinnati and then stopped. Shane Bieber, who, as we saw in his last performance, is still Shane Bieber. Zach Plesac, who would still be pitching if he didn't have such a bad fucking temper and break his own thumb ripping a shirt off of his body. And Tristan McKenzie, who was just this close to writing a one-way ticket back to the minors, who got one more chance and actually pitched a decent game, and he's going to come back and make another start on Monday. All of these players came up through single A baseball. By the way, if you're wondering about the pitcher for tonight, Eli Morgan is 25 years old. He was an 8th round selection in 2017 out of Gonzaga, the Zags of Spokane, Washington. He's consistently been a starter in the minor leagues. His career mark is 21-16 with a 3.11 earned run average. But like you find out, the minor leagues and the big leagues are two different things, and they're going to be sitting on that changeup because I don't know how fast his fastball cranks up, but we know he's not a manual Class A. That's for damn sure. In AAA so far this year, he had a 3.95 earned run average at Columbus with an 0-1 record. So take that into account when you're watching the game. The one thing the Indians did do, they protected the guy in the Rule 5 draft. They added him to the 40-man roster. So they know depth is important. Like I started out the show, I'll end up the show. There are times when people have to step up and they have to do something important. And I think, these guys are getting a chance at the major leagues, and an Eli Morgan would never be up in the big leagues at this point in his career if it weren't for the injuries.
Probably need Captain Morgan. Fucking Rick.
What?
After watching Eli Morgan, we'll probably need Captain Morgan.
Yeah, you got that right. So at any rate, we'll watch the Indians and we'll see how Eli struggles with nerves in front of the Cleveland home crowd. That's it. Tony disappeared partway through the program. I hope he's okay. He probably fell asleep again. Thanks to everybody.
Thanks for watching on the replay.
Yeah. Sorry I missed you. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back again on Monday like we always are on the Monday edition of Moohead Radio. Until then, hasta la vista, Pasture Heads. Have a really fun weekend and grill out, man. It's the way and the time to do it. We're going to start getting rain here, so it's not good timing. I hope the weather is better for you wherever you are. Hasta la vista, Pasture Heads. Good night.